Hi food friends, it's Kevin.
And I'm Ralph behind the camera. What are you making today, Kevin?
We are making a tamale pie.
Ooh, that's right up my alley.
Tamale, yes. This is an old-time recipe. And a tamale pie is really a casserole. So here's what I got in here, just so you can see. There's a half a pound of ground beef and a half a pound of ground pork. And I just added to the meat 1 medium diced onion and 2 cloves of garlic minced.
That's a good start.
Okay. So what we're going to do first is brown our meat. If you look in any of the old classic cookbooks from the 50s, whether it be Betty Crocker or Better Homes and Gardens, or even, Joy of Cooking, any of those, you'll find recipes for tamale pie.
It's kind of become like or back then it was like almost an American classic or standard, but a twist on a hamburger casserole, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And, it was probably exotic for the time.
Yeah, we're actually going to add some flavors to this to make it a little more authentic, because I think the original recipes are not on the bland side, but they're not as authentically Mexican, I'll say.
No. And right now I'm just adding some salt and pepper to the meat as it's cooking. So we'll get that in there. And we're going to let the meat brown. So I put the onions and garlic in too, so that those will start getting soft and cook with the meat. So we've got this on a medium heat here. We're going to let the medium to medium high. We're going to let this do its thing, get nice and brown, let the onions get soft and a little translucent, then we'll come back and put our other ingredients in the meat portion. So we'll be right back in a few minutes to do the rest of the tamale pie.
Okay, it looks like you've got the hamburger nice and browned with some seasonings.
So yeah, the hamburger and ground pork as well. The onions and garlic. This is all nice and brown. I would say too that if you wanted to put some green pepper in here, you could do that as well. We didn't have any green pepper, but that would be something that you could put in when you put the onions in as well, if you wanted to. But we've got a lot of other good stuff to put in.
Well, yeah, we're also going to add a few other spices, more authentic Mexican spices, as we mentioned. But when you mentioned green peppers, it made me think we could have also, if we had jalapeno, put a little of that and give it a little kick.
If you wanted to turn up the heat, exactly. And
Chop
that's
jalapenos.
The nice thing about a recipe like this is you can kind of make it your own. So I've got 2 8-ounce cans of tomato sauce here. So we're going to add those in. And there's 1 and 2. Of course, you could use 1 16-ounce can, but thank you.
That's my hand slipping into the frame, so stir it up a touch.
Thank you, Ralph. Now, what we're going to do is we are also going to add a cup of corn. This actually is frozen corn, and it will thaw out here very easily. You could use canned corn. You could use fresh corn if you wanted.
But once again, we're trying to use up things that are here at the cottage as we want
to. Sadly,
down.
we're coming to the end of our season at the cottage, so we're using things up. This is a dozen black olives that I just gave a rough chop to.
Could even use Spanish olives, which
you could
give it a nice little salty.
If you had the green,
good color too. But black olives work well too, and so
again, it's about kind of what you have and what you like. Okay, so I've got the heat at medium. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of spice to our meat mixture.
While it's heating up, while it's cooking?
Yeah. So we've got our salt and pepper in there already. We're going to add some chili powder. I'm going to put in, about a tablespoon here. And
I suggested cumin.
Yes, and I think that's a great idea. We're going to put in a half a teaspoon of cumin.
That's all?
Little cumin goes a long way.
Okay.
And then we're going to just put in a little bit of sugar.
Whoa. Looks like a lot.
It's not that much. It's about maybe a teaspoon and a half or so.
I love sugar with tomato sauces and
that's just to cut the acid. And the other thing is you've got heat and then a little sweet, but not much.
Yeah.
So okay. So what we're going to do, doesn't that looks beautiful.
It's already looking good, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're going to let this simmer.
Let those flavors blend.
For about 15 minutes or so. And then what we're going to do is we'll come on back.
Okay.
And put it all together. In the meantime, I'm going to get some things ready for our topping. So it's called tamale pie because it actually, again, it's a casserole. You've got the meat, and on top of the meat, you've got a cornbread topping.
Cornmeal?
Yes, and it all kind of works together.
And tamales traditionally are made with masa, which is a type of cornmeal. So. Which
is exactly right. And so you kind of have you get the corn taste in with the meat. So, anyways, I'm going to get things together. We'll come back and start putting together our
cottage kitchen tamale pie.
We are ready to make our cornmeal topping for the tamale pie. So here's what I've got. I've got a bowl. I put 1 egg in there, and I've beaten it with a fork. So let's just get our cornmeal, and you can use white or
yellow.
Yellow, it doesn't matter. So we're going to put in 3/4 of a cup of cornmeal, and then we're going to put in some baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons, and okay, then we're going to put in a tablespoon of just regular all-purpose flour. And we're going to put in a tablespoon of sugar. And then finally, we're going to put in a teaspoon of salt. Then, 1/3 of a cup of milk. There we go. Now we're going to bring all that together. This is going to be our cornmeal topping.
So that's going to bake right on top of the...
It's going to bake right on top.
Oh, it almost looks like a tamale masa.
Doesn't it kind of? Okay. So we're going to set that aside. Make a little room here. Now what I've done is I have greased a 2-quart casserole. We have our meat mixture, which we're going to put in.
So by greasing it, you mean you just
with a non-stick spray.
Okay.
Now I have preheated the oven to 425 degrees. So it's a warm oven. Of course, this is already cooked. So that's done essentially. What we're really doing here is baking our corn topping.
So you kind of have to carefully lay that on top?
Lay that on top.
And when it bakes, it'll kind of all come together, I imagine, right?
Yes.
But you still want to try to
and some
minimize
some of it may fall into the... But as it bakes, it will... Yeah, let me get out of the way here so you can get a shot of this.
Oh, that's perfect.
Okay. I want to get all that good cornmeal goodness there. Okay, so there we have it. And in the oven it goes, 15 to 20 minutes. We'll check it after 15 and see how it is. You basically want that topping, it will puff up and get nice and brown on the top. and then you're ready to go.
I heard the timer go off.
Okay, it is time for our tamale pie to come on out. Let me make sure.
Oh, it's really very good.
You can see the cornmeal crust all the way around, nice and golden brown. Now it's very hot, needless to say, so we're going to let it cool. We've got some nice shredded cheddar cheese here, which we could serve. You might also want to serve with a little sour cream, would be another thing. But this is a great casserole for any day, but particularly cooler days. You can see very easy to make, and have yourself a little fiesta.
I bet you could even serve it with some homemade corn chips, or even add some beans to the mixture.
Oh, that would be really good.
There's a lot of different ways you can modify it. You know, as we said before, you could, you know, if you like it spicier, make it spicier. You know, chop up some little jalapenos in there, or if you like it less spicy, Americanize it.
The idea is to make it your own, but
we're going to have it with a pineapple tropical smoothie drink that always goes well, as we've mentioned before. Sweet drinks go so well with spicy Mexican food. So let's see, we're going to let this cool, or we're going to cut into it now?
Well, I'd like to show everybody
How it's looking.
Look at that.
Ooh.
So it's like you got your cornbread.
It's almost like a chili with a cornbread built into it.
All at once.
It sure smells good.
And then again,
A sprinkle of cheese. You could even maybe add some raw onion on top if you wanted to, chopped onion.
And, you know,
Sour
cilantro, sour cream, tamale pie. All right. See you next time. Thanks for being a part of this one.